Hello, everyone, and welcome to a remake of this game. We didn't expect this to be happening at all. So, it's Klonoa.
Wahoo! Da, 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 da.
Yeah, and Caddy's here. Say hi.
I killed John. I killed John. And Ted. They're both dead.
Okay. I was wondering where those two went.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. That was all my fault. Because I heard about you guys. Like, I just finished streaming this game, and I thought, you know what? I want to enjoy it again, selfishly, to myself, without John and without Ted. You two are okay, but the other two, no, we don't want them, so I killed them.
Oh, well, that was a dark twist. Kind of like this game, actually. If I remember it, it was a bit darker than Klonoa one.
I don't actually think it was. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Overall, it was, but the ending for one, it was extremely out of left field and draining. So.
Oh, I mean, like it started on a darker tone than the first game did.
Oh yeah,
the first game was started on like your classic World 1-1 green tinted levels. Nice peaceful town.
Yeah, I think that's what helps it to. I think that's to its benefit, though. I think the first game's plot it has a stronger sense of, like it. You could look at it as a twist, or you could look at it as it's tricking you, I suppose. I don't know, but I think it works with the whole idea of dreams and running through a dream and not realizing it is a dream, because that's what dreams kind of are until you wake up and blah blah blah. So. Yeah, I do prefer.
You.
Certainly, it kind of reminded me of Rayman 2 in a way. If that
yeah,
makes sense.
like once it's kind of aware of what it's doing and what it's trying to go for with the theme and the tone, then it just kind of owns it in the sequel.
Suddenly I'm getting flashbacks to Final Fantasy X for some reason. Just warping into this waterlogged nowhere space.
I'm thinking more Kingdom Hearts. I don't know why. Something about Klonoa falling from the sky into the ocean. It's reminding me of the Kingdom Hearts 1 FMV.
Yeah, kind
a
of.
little bit, yeah.
Also, the stormy weather makes me think of when the Heartless attack the island at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Also, who was playing this game? Because they left that subtitle running for far too many seconds long.
I was trying to figure out the auto.
Yeah. Sometimes I stumble over that on the rare occasion.
So it wasn't that you were struggling to read one word, because it's okay to admit if you were. It's fine. We're friends here.
It was just okay. I had that.
This is one of those things that snuck up on me, but they re-released Klonoa 1 and 2 in a new HD collection.
They have.
Yeah.
And it's called Fantasy Reverie with a PH for fantasy, because that makes sense.
And you got a fancy physical edition, and we got nothing.
Oh, did you guys not?
Nope. North America did not get the physical version.
That sucks. What, not even on Switch?
Nope.
What? Yeah, I picked it up on Switch. It's on PS5 as well, but I picked it up on Switch.
I haven't picked this up yet. There are entirely too many games that I need to buy, and I don't have a Switch at the moment.
So what are you doing here, then? What's your purpose in this commentary, then? What are you here for?
I ask myself that every day of my life, and I still haven't reached an answer. I'm staring into the void, just like that weird, dead-eyed puppet thing in the background right there.
Yeah, I don't understand what the stained glass eyes are going for. I'm not really sure about the design.
I don't know, but I kind of like it. It's off-putting in a weird way, but also cool.
I don't like how his eyes aren't tracked to his eyes. His eyes are tracked to the back of his head.
Yeah.
So when his head's bumping up and down, his eyes bump up and down with his head while his eye sockets stay in the same place, and it's very off-putting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say over the years, I've never really reached more than casual, mild interest in the Klonoa games. I'm more of a when it comes to the old PS1 era 2.5D games, I'm more of a Pandemonium fan, which I guess makes me a freak of nature. But Like,
it makes you a hipster. It makes you. I'll give you that. It makes you a hipster.
nobody fucking talks about Pandemonium anymore.
No, they don't. Maybe there's a reason. I remember playing the first Pandemonium like years ago, and I was not impressed. I didn't really like it.
It's very basic, but you know, I prefer the faster pace of a game like Pandemonium to something languid like Klonoa. That's just
Right.
My taste,
Have you even played Klonoa 2?
I have a copy of it for the PlayStation 2, I think, like buried in a drawer. I played.
Have you played the first one?
I played it on Wii. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's more or less the same thing. Okay, so the second one is basically the first one, but way faster, way more intricate, more enemies, more platforming puzzles. It's basically one, but improved in nearly every way gameplay-wise. It's really good. It's really good. But then you'll see as we're sitting here and watching it.
Yeah, this is an all levels run, so I do get all the little plushies for the guy. So.
Oh, nice one.
That
was a pain. I remember that being a pain when I was playing it. That was. Oh no, getting the plushies was easy. It was getting the 150 gems in each level that was a pain.
Yeah, which I don't do because you don't really get anything besides illustrations for that.
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I brought up Pandemonium for a reason, because they're both the same kind of 2.5D looping around a 3D environment kind of
Yes,
thing.
they are.
You don't really see that much. It was a style of game that was only like really explored a few times and then kind of poofed into the.
What I'm
And both games, yeah.
What I'm surprised with, this kind of style hasn't come back for indies, considering, you know, indies would be able to more handle this type of genre better than a AAA studio would at this point, I think.
Also, we could just do more with it with modern technology. But, like, I guess, like, 2D platformer fans have always just been a fan of the more simple, straightforward side-scroller style. And this particular style, it was born more of experimenting with 3D graphics. So I understand why, like, the appeal was limited.
It's interesting though, because like the first Klonoa is like, that's a proper mishmash of ideas and experimentation. Like, let's put 2D pixel art in low poly 3D environments, and I think it actually in a purely aesthetic artistic standpoint, I think it holds up better than the Wii version, because the Wii version is just, let's take everything that the original did based on limitations and experimenting, and then just make everything 3D, and I don't think it works. Whereas this was built from the ground up in 3D, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, I will say, like, just looking at it, the aesthetics work together in a subtle way that that works. But that I think is better than the Wii version of 1.
The Wii version of 1 is very much just like taking no detail, low texture, low poly 3D environments, making them more 3D. If that's possible, making them higher res, and then adding 3D models and shit, but it wasn't built with the PS1 couldn't render all the different like levels of detail that this game has, so it looks a bit off. It just looks unfinished.
It's a little hard to say at what point in that design process they slipped up, though, because part of that might just be because the game was designed for the frankly kind of crap resolution and output of the Wii.
That's a very good point.
A lot of like otherwise pretty good looking games have to sort of strain themselves to look good on the Wii, because it was being made at a time when, you know, everyone had their HD TVs, but here was the system that was stuck with component output and 720 at best.
Yeah.
Everything always, like, I remember playing, this is a random ass game to bring up, Forgotten Sands, Prince of Persia, the Wii version of that game. And it's like, I remember being so interested in the graphical style of that game because they seemed to be genuinely trying to make it look good on its own terms within the limitations of the Wii. But it also had that problem of, wow, they're trying to get ambitious with their visuals here, but I just can't get past the jaggies, you know?
I like Jaggies. Jaggies need to come back. I love Jaggies. I'm one of those people that if I'm playing, well, I mean, especially on the Steam Deck, but I will turn off anti-aliasing just because everything looks crisper. I like that.
Really?
Yeah, I love turning anti-aliasing off. Only if I can run something on a decent hardware and have everything look smoother, then awesome. But like in general, I just think, like, especially on a portable screen, turning off anti-aliasing just makes everything look crisper. That's why I like the 3DS so much.
Huh. What kind of screen does the Steam Deck have? That might have something to do with it.
It's in between 720 and 1080. It's that weird like laptop resolution. I think it's 800p. I think.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say, is it that awkward 900p?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah. So when you're like going through the resolution settings, the max res is really weird. Yeah.
That might be a good resolution for no anti-alias, and actually just low enough that it doesn't really. Man, I want to try out a Stream Deck, but that's a Steam Deck, but that's like one of those things where it's too expensive for me to want to bother with, and I don't portable game, so.
Oh, you will if you bought one. You will if you bought one.
Well, the problem is when I do portable game, I like to lay down, but my hands start to feel pretty strained after a while. I think that might actually just be that I'm getting older and my hands are feeling the age. But
got it.
I have trouble with my 3DS and even like the portable Switch on the few times that I tried it. So, and
okay. You've got this to look forward to, kids. You've got this to look forward to.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
Eventually you'll end up with the Xbox Duke controller, and that still won't be good enough.
So I have a very important question that will lead to deep discussion, I'm sure. Who decided to turn Krillin into a redheaded elf girl?
Bandai Namco, apparently.
That's my answer.
Okay. Well, why does she have no nose? More.
And why is it Lunatea or Lunatea? I don't know.
I always heard it as Lunatea.
Lunatea. Oh god, I haven't even heard that.
I will say this game upscales pretty well.
Yeah, because that's the thing, because it was built from the ground up to be like 3D, and this was just around the time of like widescreen TVs coming in. Basically, I just think they should have ported the PS1 Klonoa 1 into this collection. I really think they should have done that, because I think that would have looked great.
Possibly.
I think they wanted just some sort of visual cohesiveness between the two.
PS1 graphics, in my experience, always play a bit weird with high resolution output. Like, there are some times where it looks absolutely gorgeous, and there are some times where you can just see the seams everywhere.
It's part of the charm. It's part of the charm.
Well,
it's like when you're playing Resident Evil and you see, like, I wonder what in this room is like interactable. Oh, is it that big, massive, shining thing that isn't part of the pre-rendered background? Yeah, let's go pick it up.
When I say you can see the seams, I mean more like you can see where one texture is supposed to connect to the other, but it doesn't, because
it just warps, yeah.
Because the resolution isn't quite covering up for it anymore, and a lot like that's the thing about the PlayStation 1 in particular, is that its resolution output was absolutely abysmal. Everything that you output on the PlayStation 1 was playing at a really low resolution. We're talking in the 300s. So games were made with that resolution in mind, so they start to look like the resolution isn't playing nice with them at disturbingly low resolutions, and it's strange. It's one of those things.
Interesting, because I don't know if this is my inexperience or my lack of knowledge is going to shine through here, but because obviously, like, we had SCART in the UK, but we had 50 hertz instead of 60 hertz. We had to make some sacrifices, but because we were in SCART, our resolution on the PS1 was really good. So the games in PAL, where they can sometimes, it's not all of them, but some of them run a bit slower, or some of them run at like 24 frames instead of 30, or 50 instead of 60, but the resolution is always really crisp and really good. So when you run a PAL PS1 or PS2 through an upscaler, it looks really nice.
That's interesting. Huh, I didn't know.
But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure the general rule is we sacrificed a little bit of frame rate and speed for better resolution. I'm pretty sure is what we did.
And it all stemmed from power regulations at the times, and the way all that happened, and complicated bullshit. But like, it really is a game by game thing, because like Resident Evil 2, for example, upscales really well. It's actually the 2D assets that have the most trouble. The 3D models are really great. All the textures join up really nice. Looks great on the GameCube. But then you get to something like Gex Enter the Gecko. And it's just like you can see every texture where it connects to everything else. And it's just that graphics engine doesn't work very well.
Okay, I just looked it up on Google. PAL signals were higher. We had 576i and you had 480i. So there you go.
Ah, interesting.
So we did have higher resolution, yeah.
Interesting.
90 extra pixels.
90.
I mean, you'd be surprised what kind of a difference that can make to a game, but like the PlayStation 1, when it came to resolution, was sitting on the low end of what PC resolutions could be expected to do around that time. And unlike with PCs, which could, have different resolution settings for different rigs, everything had to be set up for one system, so it was all at that low resolution. If you've ever tried comparing, say, the scrapped PS1 port of Baldur's Gate to what it looked like on PC at the time, you can see the difference, especially in the text. And Baldur's Gate wasn't a very high resolution game to begin with, so.
And that is why Klonoa 2.
Yes, this is all very relevant to Klonoa 2.
Welcome to our channel.
We're talking about mostly like the how did we spin off to that from that? We started
I was talking about Klonoa 1 and it looking better in PS1 setting, like in the context of the PS1 than the Wii version looks in the context of the Wii.
Yeah.
And how they should have ported the PS1 version over to this collection, because this is in my opinion, I never actually, believe it or not, I never played the original on PS2. I own it, but I never played it. I remember playing the demo for it on a demo disc when I first got my PS2, but this is this is exactly how I remember it looking, and I can't see anything wrong with it, but then I had so many, like, snags and little niggles with the HD Wii Klonoa 1 port. It just wasn't the same. It's just not the same.
I think, like, if I look here and there, I've glimpsed, like, just barely a few texture seams, but and that's like one of the things you need to look out for in upscale PS2 games is the texture seams. Sometimes they're really poor at hiding them, but
looks pretty good to me.
Other than one or two minor seams that I've seen, it looks flawless to me.
Yeah,
just watching
it's really really good. It looks like this is probably how it looked on the computers when they were designing it, and then they had to, like, compress it down,
Yeah. The thing I'm doubtful about that, because they'd have pretty low resolution monitors on the design PCs at the time too.
That's a very good point as well. Yeah.
The thing I'm wondering is if they did any extra touch-up work on this port, because, like, that's a thing that they sometimes don't have time to do with remasters, both because, like, they aren't given enough time by the developers, and also because they have to use what time they have making sure the game just runs well.
Interesting point. Let's fill in some time and Google.
Well, I know this took a long time to come out because this collection was rumored for a long time. I think it was about 2, almost 3 years between when we first heard rumors about this to when it actually came out.
At the same time, a long development span doesn't necessarily guarantee that they were working on it continually, because for a side project yeah, well, all I'm saying is that for a side project like this, team members might be jumping in and out, helping with other projects as the need arises. So it all depends on how it was managed. And I don't actually know what Bandai Namco's track record with that kind of thing is.
It's all over the place. Like, they keep re-releasing worse and worse versions of, like, Tales of Symphonia to the ire of the fans.
Well, yeah, it's because they're using that frickin' HD port as the basis for all the other ones. It's Sonic Adventure DX all over again. Just keep porting the bad port, sure, and then port the port of the port.
I have an answer for you. The games have been remastered with improved visuals and sound.
Oh. improved
That's
visuals
it.
and sound.
That's all it says.
That could mean anything.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm looking.
Or
I'm
nothing.
googling it, and I can't find anything specific. I think it's because it's one of those games where like people were shocked when the remaster was announced, and they were like, "Oh my god, let's get back into Klonoa shit." Yeah, but I think in general, I don't think like anybody was interviewing developers about what they did to touch anything up. I don't think the interest is quite there as much as it would be for like remastering a Metal Gear Solid game or something, you know?
Yeah, you might have to get into one of like those in-depth comparison channels that like frame by frame compares the game and the assets and data mines it to hell to figure out what was changed and what wasn't.
I think we have some people searching on Google that are having a bit of a crisis. One of the biggest search terms for Klonoa is what makes Klonoa good. So I don't even think people know. Like, people say it's good, I'm gonna Google why, because I don't get it.
Klonoa is one of those franchises that sits like in the weird nether space between being niche and being mainstream. Like it's not it's not mainstream, but I wouldn't call it like a cult classic. It's not that obscure.
No.
Like people know about it. But
let's see how many copies. How many did it sell at the time? How many copies did Klonoa? How about Klonoa 1?
Yeah, because I know 2 didn't sell nearly as well, but that was because it was a cartoony kids mascot platform on the big adult gaming system that was the PS2.
The big adult gaming system that gave us Seymour Guado.
I just remember at the time when Klonoa 2 came out, it was more everyone was talking more about games like GTA 3 than
Yeah, people were moving away from kiddie-looking bullshit, weren't they? Yeah.
Often to the detriment of a game's graphical style. Looking at you, Prince of Persia. I have no idea why they changed their style to that abomination of a half-baked realistic look.
Let's have a look. So apparently this game specifically, when it first came out in Japan, it sold 130,000 copies in Japan in all of 2001. So wow. I guess it is kind of cult, I suppose.
2 in particular, yes.
I would have expected it to do better in Japan than that, given, the mascot
it's Namco.
Platformer didn't exist, and it is Namco. Yes,
he's got Pac-Man on his hat. He should have sold 1 million copies. Everyone knows Pac-Man.
Well, if you don't like the hat, you can always take it off with the costume feature.
You can.
Namco wasn't exactly hitting it out of the park during that generation, to be fair. They had some RPGs too, but that didn't work quite as well for them. Outside of Tales, I suppose. Is that Bandai Namco?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Why am I asking that? You just mentioned Tales of Symphonia like a minute ago. My brain is numb. I'm sorry. I just spent like all of yesterday doing nothing but driving, and doing that much driving makes it hard to stay awake.
I've just been to Capri World, so I'm chocolate drunk. So yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat.
For a much more pleasant reason, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. God, do you know what? I'm looking up Klonoa 1 sales figures. I don't actually think that game sold very well either.
That was probably something to do with the way the PS1 generation, looked at platformers. There was a big prejudice in favor of 3D gaming and 3D graphics during that time, so a lot of 2D and 2.5D games got overlooked. And some of the ones that didn't go 2D got criticized for being behind the times.
Yeah, I remember I did a video about PlayStation magazines years ago, and I was looking at some of the reviews, and they gave In the Hunt 5 out of 10 because it looked outdated. Which is fucking hilarious. But there you go.
It wasn't just a PlayStation thing at the time. The PC gaming market had that kind of like pro 3D leaning too. It was just a general thing around that time. Although it doesn't help that Sony went and mandated 3D graphics a lot of the time. And
yeah.
And then guys like Capcom had to be like, well, we won't put Resident Evil 2 on your system if you don't put Mega Man X4 on the system.
Yeah, only the big companies like Capcom could even afford to defy them on that point around that time. A lot of good Japanese games didn't make it over here because of that. Ugh.
I'm looking up this here. Apparently, Klonoa 1, apparently, in Japan, I've only got Japanese figures here, but apparently in 10 weeks, it sold 160k copies. So...
For Japan, that's not too bad.
That's not too bad in Japan, and for 1997, not too bad either. So, yeah. Did you know they remade the game on Japanese mobile phones?
That's a surprisingly common fun fact for a lot of franchises, I'm learning.
That's really cool. Is it the Wii version, or is it says 2008 a remake of Door to Phantom was released on Japanese mobile phone. I'm gonna look this shit up. Klonoa Japanese phone game. Where is it?
Yes. Keep your Google search up. Give us time to show off the thumbnail art for this part.
Whoa, is it wait, what?
What?
Is it? I can't find... Oh, this person clickbaited me. Damn it.
Find out whatever it is he's looking for next part, ladies and gentlemen, because he just got rickrolled.
We don't know.